What's happening, my homies? In this Reddit thread, we hear about workplace tensions, and some petty revenge stories. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a lovely day. What BS are you dealing with at work right now? Being scheduled on basically every day I was supposed to have off. The coffee shop I worked at in college was a little locally owned place. There were all of 11 employees and I was basically an assistant manager because I had been there longer than everyone that worked there except the owner and her daughter, the manager. There was a summer where my BF was living in a city a couple hours away after graduation and working MF. The manager, an honestly terrible manager, super petty, very micromanagey, had asked for summer availability in the spring. I had said I could be available MF so I could see my BF at all during the summer. Long distance is no bueno for me from past experience and I knew this would be very important to me. She said I couldn't have the weekends off because it wasn't fair to the other workers. So I went and asked every single one of them if they had a problem with me being gone weekends and they all said they were fine with it. So I went back to her and told her such. She still said no and told me if I wanted those days off I'd have to request them off and hope I was within the first few to request. So I did. Every single weekend of the summer I requested off. The manager asked me a couple times to cover for her and I said no to her every time. If any of my other co-workers asked and I didn't have big plans I'd say yes. But it got me very pissy. Being scheduled to work at a second location I had told my boss I did not want to work at anymore. I had checked my schedule before leaving for 3 days off for a family event and I was working my regular schedule. One of my bosses messages me later saying that the schedule changed for the next week and I was now doing 4 shifts at the other location. I was pissed. Mostly because it was further away and I had to take a taxi and bus to get there and back home from my shifts compared to walking 5 minutes. A third party keeps insisting that an individual worked for my company. They did not. We have searched everywhere. We have punched in every variation of their name, birthday, social security number into our system. Dude didn't work here, and well this other woman says he did isn't an argument. I have a vendor who gives me the same answer every day that I email him, let me check and get back to you. His shipment has slipped by over 2 months at this point and it's driving me nuts. He's doing the same thing to other people in my office on other projects. He's on a quick list to be blacklisted, but unfortunately, the clients love his stuff. The clients love his stuff. Where all the power really lies. My boss asked if I would be working tomorrow afternoon. When I said yes, he ominously replied, interesting. Boss will likely assign an important job tomorrow with a short deadline and was asking around looking for someone they can trust to do it. That's my interpretation of this interaction. Bar manager and 20% of the staff quit. Owner hasn't hired anyone. It's been 3 months. No one can take unexpected days off or call in sick and inventory is at an all-time low. Except the kegs. So many kegs. We keep running out of f***ing everything. I, and others, have offered to help over the summer and nothing has come of it. The restaurant is expanding and we need more employees but my boss is too focused on having us dust, during construction, replacing glassware with crystal, and setting up public accessible training courses to bother with actual management. Oh, and communication is non-existent, so I regularly show up to work and have no idea where shit is or what the new procedures are. Sounds like you need to go talk to the bartender circle of your city and find a new place where you'll be appreciated. Thanks dude. Sometimes you just need to hear something like that, yeah no. Always nice to have a chance to bitch anonymously too lol. It's just frustrating BC I really do like my job and customers. Lots of cool regulars, and I'm the senior most bartender so I'm mostly left alone and get priority scheduling, especially nice with school and a kid. I've always said communication and compromise is the key to any successful relationship and that's where my boss fails miserably. If you do leave and if your regulars do like you, they might follow you. I've definitely done that. Oh, that bartender works here now? Well, we're going there tonight then. I handed in my notice at work and my boss suddenly stopped talking to me. LOL. Ha. I handed in mine because they treat me like a punching bag and now they are being nice and chill about everything like they are my best friend. Should have just been that way to begin with, you idiots. Me too. My boss has been so nice lately, but why weren't you like this the past 4.5 years? Now he's asking me to stay because everyone is quitting. LOL, not I'm good. I don't even have a job lined up, but I just know I gotta get out of there. Boss doesn't understand how time works. I had a boss once come to me and say, "Stop what you're doing, nothing else matters. Focus 100% of your time on this." So I did. The next week he comes to me again and says the same thing. Literally word for word. I remind him that I'm not finished the super important thing from last week, and he says it doesn't matter, the new thing is important, put 100% of my time on it. The following week he comes to me and asks me if I finished the first task. No, I say, I stopped working on it to work on the new task. But, he says, I told you to work on it 100%. I said, you want me to work 100% on task A, and 100% on task B? Yes. Yes, he did. Not 50/50ths. 100/100. He didn't understand time. You got two hands, don't you? I was offered a job at another location. I told my boss about it and my current company offered me a raise to stay. I took it. It's been 2 months and I haven't seen the raise in my paycheck yet. Depending on where you live, that is very illegal and they owe you money. That being said, you got it on paper, right? I'm at an internship I was extremely excited to have and learn from. I haven't done any work the past 2 weeks, uneasy face. Sounds like you're an engineering student. As someone who's been in a position to receive internship requests for our team, I often have the conversation about whether or not it's a paid internship or a free internship. I prefer paid internships so I can put them to work. With free internships I feel obligated to teach them something and I don't have time for that shit. Too busy. No budget for paid internship? Then I prefer no internship. Girlfriend took the time off in advance to see a best friend she hasn't seen in 2 years for literally 1 day. Work is currently telling her that they're scheduling a mandatory employee meeting everyone needs to go to or else you get fired. Keep in mind there is barely anything important that ever gets announced at these. Edit, I'll mention that this is PA, it is going to be an unpaid meeting at a location that the owner owns somewhere else, and she put in her request weeks before the owner made this decision. My HS job had mandatory meetings like every other week. If you missed one, you were supposed to lose your shifts for the next week. Nothing important ever happened at them. I missed one cause my great uncle had a heart attack and I forgot to call, wasn't the top priority on the hour drive to go see him. Good thing they let that one slide cause otherwise they would not have had the staff to be open. No one else liked to work and tried to go home early. 2 of my coworkers were promoted out of the department and no one was hired to replace them, leaving me to do the work of 3 people, minimum. Upon expressing that my own hours weren't enough time to get the work done, even with overtime, I was told, you have to get it done. If you can't get it done it means we'll have to find someone else who will. Robot. What you're looking for is a robot willing to work 24/7 for a barely living wage. Got it? Glad to know the company values my mental health. That happened to me 2 years ago. But, it was more along the lines of one person going on an extended vacation, and the other seriously injuring themselves, drunk, gravity, stairs. I worked as a shipper receiver, and I was getting slammed. 2 separate loading docks, on opposite sides of a really large commercial building. I kept on calling my manager asking to send a floater, but she literally kept on ignoring my calls, over the span of a week. So I dropped what I was doing and went over there to see what was up. I walked onto their dock with everyone on their fucking the dog whilst everything was done. When the manager seen me and how pissed off I was, she pulled a Michael Scott and hid in her office and pretended not to be there. Turned off the lights and walked slowly to the curtains, pretending I couldn't see her, closed her blinds and turtled up inside. She was absolutely confused when I handed in my notice the next Monday. I work with a woman who CCs her boss on all emails. Her boss follows up on all of the emails 5 to 10 minutes later. They looks like this. Woman, hey gang leave it, we're starting this new thing so can you send us X, Y, and Z when you have a chance, thanks. Her boss, 5 minutes later, gang leave it, as per woman's initial request, we need these things to move forward. In our previous meeting on May 4th, at 2 p.m. you indicated you could send these to us. I ask you to please send these along ASAP as our initiative depends on good information. Please confirm receipt and indicate when we can expect these documents. This brings back flashbacks. I had a dude that got a promotion into my department that I applied for but didn't get. Because the guy knows absolutely nothing how things work, I agree to take on some of his responsibilities and show him the ropes until he is comfortable enough to take on the job himself. The dude fucks up one day on a report and pisses off management. He sends a f***ing email to me CCing my boss and his boss and some other people who didn't even need to be on it, trying to put the blame on me and calling me out, making me look bad. I unleashed a shitstorm on this guy. But I didn't CC everyone because it's fucking stupid. The dude ended up apologizing to me in person and just said it was his fault, and he got mad because management was all over him. I just told him, if you had an issue with something, come to me. No reason to put me on blast like that and make me look bad for no reason. LOL, sorry for the rant. But that's what your story reminded me of. I hate people who CC for no f***ing reason. Client had a full 10 months to review a demo site that we had up. They made a couple of nitpicks and claimed they were happy with it. The site went into staging a few weeks ago and they immediately came up with a list of 50+ issues with it and demand it be fixed or they won't renew the contract. Edit, it's a bit complicated. I think part of the issue is that the upper management didn't look at the site until it was in staging, and they are the ones that noticed the problems. We are releasing patches on a nearly daily basis, which is keeping them happy. Just today that said that all the major roadblocks are out of the way and the site can go to production. Ah, I see you also work at every business ever. I appear to be working on their other project. 6 months ago we gave them a list of items we need to move forward, and that upon getting the items we'd need 60 days to implement the list of items. Received items on Friday, got an angry email today saying we're 4 months behind. I may go live in the bush. I do sound for cover band at a hotel that feels like they're better than or at least equal to an act that sells out stadiums. Every night I deal with 5 60-plus-year-old musicians with expectations that would make Mariah Carey say that's too fucking much. Edit, typo. I used to play in an indie band. I felt so bad for the sound guys because the shitty musicians in the bands would blame everything on him. The monitors were too quiet, I couldn't hear myself, the sound guy sucked, it was mudded, he turned me down in the mix. Nah, you guys are just fucking bad. And if you had shown up on time for your sound check, I bet it would have been way better. My last day is Friday, so they made me write a guide on how to do my job because no one else knows how. I feel you 100%. My last day was last week and I didn't do the damn guide, LMAO. But now they keep sending me messages and calling me to ask how to do what I did. And I was just an intern, can you believe that? My stepdad is an old school computer programmer. He worked for a big insurance company. For decades he tried to explain to the higher UPS that they needed to restructure their system because they were using code that nobody uses anymore. Nobody listened. 5 years before he was up for retirement they offered him a pretty great early retirement deal. They thought they were saving money. He got called back in 2 months to come back and help fix some issues. He charged private consulting fees that paid more than his old salary, and was still collecting his retirement. He worked about 15 hours a week for more than double the money of working 50 to 60. Just figured I'd give a positive story in this thread. He was literally the only person that still knew the old system. Hope these stories made your day a little nicer. Be sure to like and subscribe for more coffee and chat.